Today, I'm going to begin talking about a very difficult subject, how to heal from an affair. Today will be part one, and the next video, part two. Hi, I'm Dr. B, and I want you to fully enjoy life and experience the freedom God desires for you and those around you. You know, today in our world, we're seeing a lot of people who feel they're not happy and they feel discontent. Many today are looking for a way to escape their regular lives and find something new and exciting. If you're dealing with a spouse that has been cheating, I want to help guide you through what you are feeling. I think the biggest question is, how do I forgive a spouse that's hurt me and caused so much conflict in my life? Please hear this. You need to forgive your spouse even if the marriage is not restored. I know just thinking about forgiving them is tough to deal with. It's very important for you and your own health and well-being. Now, as a counselor, I've worked for years with couples who've had to deal with betrayal and hurt marriages due to affairs and lying. So I will try to look at this subject honestly and help you evaluate where you are and even share the next steps you can take. First, let's look at why affairs happen in the first place. Now, there's a lot of reasons people give for cheating on their spouse, and honestly, there's no good explanation. Now, I've been transparent and honest in my teaching, so I feel I must tell the truth as it relates to me. I went through this myself firsthand. 25 years ago, I myself committed adultery while being married. Now, believe me, this is embarrassing to admit, but it happened. And I'll do my best to give insight about this tough subject. As I look back years ago and think through why I did what I did, it was due to lack of self-control and just being stupid and not caring about the consequences. Believe me, there are consequences to sin, especially this one, because there are so many layers and it affects so many people. It happened because there was an opportunity, and I took it. Then I told myself lies. Lies like, if I keep this quiet, no one will find out, and it really doesn't mean anything. Now, I was a pastor, and one that actually said, that can never happen to me. In fact, I carried it further and looked down with scorn on people who committed adultery and who could not control themselves. I had put boundaries in place when I started the ministry. Then once I chose to cross a simple boundary, it became easier each time. I actually remember the moment I crossed my own simple boundary. 25 years ago, I was the senior pastor of a large church and had a staff but decided to bring on an administrative assistant just for me. I was also working on my doctoral dissertation at the same time. My new assistant was helping me with my writing. We were simply sitting side by side and our arms touched. Now, I would normally say sorry and move, but this time I just allowed our touch to linger, and that's what did it for me. Over a period of about a year, it was secrecy, hiding, and lying. I had people close to me who cared enough to confront me and ask me the tough questions. And I just smiled and said, "You're wrong." I just would take my sinful relationship even more underground and hide. And here's the thing I did not see at the time, but it happened, especially once the affair was revealed. The emotional toll on my wife and children and those around me. When you have a spouse that trusts you and places their faith in you, then you let them down. Like, this is brutal. Now, for some spouses, they can forgive, but they do not want to stay married to you. That's what happened to me. I had carried my deceiving too long with too many lies that when I finally was repentant and ready to give it up for her, it was too late. I read a recent statistic that said only about 16% of marriages can make it after an affair. I believe this is the reason Jesus gave an exception clause about divorce. He tells us in Matthew 19 not to get divorced except for marital unfaithfulness. Like I said, some can work through and forgive and move on together. Some cannot. And I believe that's what Jesus gave the exception clause, because he knew that some could not stay with that person. Now, as a counselor, I've also seen people who were devastated when the affair was announced, but worked through a process and their marriages grew even better. Now, I know some of you may disagree with me, but for the relationship to heal and for there to be forgiveness, there has to be an understanding of how both in the marriage may have contributed to the problem. Now, that's not to let the cheater off the hook, but there has to be total honesty for the marriage to work through these delicate issues of adultery. When I would see couples as a counselor who were struggling with infidelity, I would have to ask, what's missing in your marriage? I would also ask and try to get a commitment that both marriage partners are committed to reconciliation and willing to put the work in to forgive and grow in their marriage. Now, as you look at why the affair happened, be honest, and what you hear will probably sting. At this point, I try to get them not to focus on blame, but what drove the affair and what actually needs to change in the marriage. And I've seen healing take place in broken marriages if both marriage partners will take the time to look at what their part was. But please hear this. That does not excuse the cheating. You need to have those difficult conversations and probably get with a good Christian counselor who can help guide you through a process of restoration. I say to those of you who have been the victim of spousal cheating, I know you're hurt and angry, and you have every right to feel that way. But I say to you, try to listen to your spouse and try to keep it a safe environment to explore why your marriage was so vulnerable. If you are like me, the one who cheated, it's vital to also be honest with yourself and others. Have the courage to look deep in your soul and answer the tough questions. Now, here's a few questions I use in the counseling room, and I suggest you use them if you're working through a reconciliation and forgiveness process. One question is, what did cheating give you that you feel lacked in the relationship with your spouse? Or how did the other person make you feel? Have you ever felt that way about your spouse? Or what do you desire from your marriage? Or what's the biggest change that needs to take place in your marriage? And I have each spouse answer that question. Now, here's what I found to be true. If both in the marriage make a choice to get their lives right with God and follow Him and what His Word says about life, especially the marriage relationship, your marriage can survive almost anything. Ephesians 5:25 says, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave Himself up for her. Men, if we follow that scripture and the wife is listening to God, she will appreciate and enjoy your new attitude. What that verse is saying is that Christ gave Himself for the church. So, if a husband will die of self, die of pride, of arrogance, or anything that places himself ahead of his wife, giving himself up for her, you should see a different, more promising relationship that is led by God and His Word. Colossians 3:19 tells us, men, husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. We're to be kind and show love and support. Galatians 5:15 says, if you keep on biting and devouring each other, watch out, or you will be destroyed by each other. And I see that happen so much, and that's exactly what the enemy wants. We are to love each other and not put each other down. Now, I have an entire series about marriage at a later time. We'll talk about more then. Now, honestly, when one spouse has an affair, it's an act of betrayal. It can also be a sign of deeper issues that need to be addressed. Issues like needing to feel important, wanting to be someone's hero, feeling lonely, These are a few reasons people come together in the first place. God created us to need other human beings in our lives, and one is through marriage. Outside of our relationship with Jesus Christ, our marriage is to be the most intimate relationship on the earth. It is to be close, affectionate, and a way to help each other through life. And I will say that I've been forgiven, and I've learned a great deal from going through a divorce many years ago. But God has helped me restore the relationship with my children, and we are closer now than before. I was remarried to a great person almost 15 years ago, and we both work hard at keeping our marriage safe, pure, fun, and especially with a purpose. In our next time together, I will give you specific ways to rebuild a marriage that has been devastated by an affair. I've worked with many, many couples through the years as a counselor, and these are proven steps to rebuild. So may God bless you as you follow Him. Thank you so much for watching this video. If it was helpful, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Also, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you will always know when we post new content. Have a wonderful day as you continue finding freedom in your life.